Hi everyone, this week is Self-Care Week and we are delighted to be joined by Emma Decent, who's going to be making us all feel nice and relaxed by reading some feel-good poems and talking to us about some poetry books. We will also be pointing out some useful resources to help you with your mental health. So I'll hand over to Emma. Hi Emma.
Hi Hannah, thank you. Nice to be here.
Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do today is share with you an autumn walk. I'm very fond of nature. I live in a beautiful place near Todmorden in Calderdale, next door to Kirklees, and I'm lucky enough to be able to take walks every day in the landscape, and I've taken some photos as well. So the idea is to take you on a virtual walk through nature with some poetry and hopefully have a nice time connecting with nature and relaxing, and ending up back at the library with Hannah and with Leah as well, to look at what books we can get and other resources to keep us feeling good and relaxed and looking after ourselves in different ways.
Great. I'll just bring up the PowerPoint and then I'll leave you to it.
Thank you. So welcome to this walk with me and some words. So to begin, we'll just have a look at our first image. So this is a spot near where I live, and I'd like to invite you to get into your mind's eye a place in nature that you know or can imagine. It might be this spot that you'd like to imagine yourself in at this moment, or it might be somewhere closer to home, more familiar to you every day, or it could be a memory of a place that you visited. It could even be a place from another part of the world, a very different landscape. But just find a place in nature that you might like to imagine yourself in right now. You might want to close your eyes and just take a few breaths. Just allow yourself to be in this place. And just notice your feet on the earth. They're not on the floor or on the concrete pavement now. You're standing on the ground, the earth beneath our feet all the time, whether we notice or not. And just allow yourself to drop that energy down into your feet, into the earth, with a few breaths. As you stand in this spot, your head tall, begin to notice the sky above your head. Again, we're imagining ourselves outside, no roofs, no ceilings. The sky might be blue, might be grey, might be starry even, it's night sky. You just stand on the earth, under the sky. And then, as you're breathing in and out, notice what you can smell in this spot. Might be the damp earth or the fallen leaves, the fresh air. Might be the smell of animals or water, even if you're by the seaside. Just take a few deep breaths and breathe in all that fresh air and all those smells of nature. And then just notice what you can feel. Feel the breeze on your skin, on your face. Feel the ground beneath your feet. It could be soft and muddy. It could be stones or sand. As you take this walk, you might touch some plants or trees, rocks, grasses under your fingers. And just notice what you can feel in your whole body as you stand in nature. And then notice what you can hear at this spot. Is it wind in the trees? The sound of leaves crunching underfoot? Bird song? You might hear animals, the sheep bleating, dogs barking. You might hear some human noise too. You might hear water in a stream nearby or a river. What can you hear? And finally, what can you see? What's the view in front of you? Maybe trees, a valley, hills. What can you see? Just take another moment to breathe all that in. Notice yourself as a creature of this earth, taking it all in, all your senses, your whole body. And then when you're ready, bring yourself back and we shall begin our walk. So just before we move on to the next slide, I'll tell you what it is. So this is a piece I've written called Every Day, and it's about a walk that I take every day in the landscape where I live, as I say, near Todmorden, in the border of West Yorkshire and Lancashire. And I'm going to do the beginning of the walk and this piece at the beginning, and the middle in the middle, and the end at the end. So I hope you enjoy it. Every day I walk in the hills where I live. It is a steep-sided valley, craggy in places. You have to climb to get to the light. The hills are grass-covered, grazed by sheep. Trees scattered, oak and holly and hawthorn mostly. Halfway up there is a stand of old beeches, sculptural twists in their huge boughs, grey bark like the skin of elephants. And silver birch, that one I love near the footpath, the one that bends down to the ground so white, then curves upwards again, the one I call the bone tree. These are my friends. I could tell you where I come from, but this is where I am now. So I'm going to read another poem now by another writer. This poem, you might know it. It's by a poet called W.H. Davis, and it's all about stopping and being where you are now. And I think it fits very well with just stopping and being with nature for a moment too. It's called Leisure, like I say, by W.H. Davis. What is this life if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare? No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. No time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet, how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this is if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. So, wise words indeed there, eh? So, thought what we do now is there's a chance here for you to do a little bit of writing if you'd like to. So this is an exercise, very simple exercise that I'll tell you about, called free writing. And it's very much as it sounds, it's writing freely. And so you're not trying to do anything particular with this at all. You're not trying to compose a poem or make anything rhyme. You don't even have to spell correctly or anything like that. This is just entirely your space, you and your pen. So if you'd like to have a little go at this, if you just fetch yourself a pen and paper, and there'll be time to do this. You can pause the video to do this, and I'm going to give you a prompt to write to. So perhaps we'll just have a look at that now. So the prompt is when the leaves fall, when the leaves fall. So the idea is that you just you write down when the leaves fall and then just carry on. And you can go anywhere you like with that. It's entirely up to you. It's completely private, so you don't have to worry about sharing it or reading it out to anybody. You can pause the video and just give yourself a few minutes to let that flow. The idea with free writing is that you don't think about it too much. You just let the pen go. You kind of keep the pen moving, but you don't worry about writing lots and lots, or it's not competition. It's just letting it flow. And if you get stuck and don't know what to do, then return to the start, and you can write when the leaves fall over and over again. And as I put here, you can't do it wrong. You just cannot do free writing wrong. There's no wrong way of doing it. So I suggest you just pause the video. You might give yourself just a few minutes to do that, and then we'll come back. So I'm going to imagine that you've paused the video and done a little bit of free writing if you've wanted to. And just before we move on to the next thing, just have a think about how that felt to do. Did you enjoy it? Did you find it interesting? Anything interesting coming up? Did you find it settling? Did you find it tricky? Just examine yourself if you enjoyed that as an exercise. It can be a very cathartic thing to do, free writing. You don't have to write to a topic. You can just allow it to be a space where you can just unpack your thoughts or even your worries in terms of self-care. Writing just privately for yourself, no one else reading it, can be very helpful to help you work things out, or just express annoyance. Even you can write, oh, that person really annoyed me today, and then it can feel a bit clearer. You can feel a bit freer of it when you've done that. So I would encourage you to experiment and have a play with free writing as a tool. And if you're getting stuck for what to write about, you can always look at nature, see what's happening. Is the sun shining? Are the leaves falling? Is it raining today? Anything like that can be quite a simple way into free writing. Okay, so I think we'll move back to our walk now, and I'm going to read you a poem that I've written myself, which is a little bit about the sky. Let me find it for you. Here we go. So yes, sky gazing is a wonderful free activity we can all do all year round. Wherever you are, just look up. It's quite often we don't look up very much. I'm guilty of it myself. Looking down at the ground, stuck under our ceilings, on rooftops in our workplaces and homes. So this poem is inviting you to look at the sky, and it's called I Remember. I remember the sky, white and cold, stretching over a grey day. I remember the blue, lying on the grass, seeing floaters in my eyes for the first time. I remember clouds piled and tumbling like ice cream mountains, eye level from a plane window, chasing the sunset, prolonging the day. I remember a poem, for the blue sky bends over all. I don't remember the places, the names and dates of my life, the details. I remember the sky. So I encourage you to sky gaze every opportunity. Wasting time and looking at the sky is a wonderful, relaxing thing to do. So I'm going to read another poem now. This one is by one of England's great poets who loved nature, William Wordsworth. Large rocks litter this land. Millstone grit it is, some as big as houses. We think them so permanent, but they tumbled here once. We have given them names, the Bridestones, the Orcan rocks, the Wirlow stones. What will we do when they tumble again? Thank you. Yes, so that's the middle of the walk that I take every day. And some of you, I'm sure there's a lot of millstone grit around Kirklees as well. So this next image you can see is a ruin. It's lots of old farmhouses and barns and things in the landscape where I live, made out of this old millstone grit. This is one of them. And this next poem is by William Wordsworth, like I said, about a ruin of an abbey called Tintern Abbey, and I'm sure some of you will know this poem. So I shall read it to you now. And all its aching joys are now no more, and all its dizzy raptures. Not for this faint eye, nor mourn, nor murmur. Other gifts have followed. For such loss I would believe abundant recompense. For I have learned to look on nature, not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing oftentimes the still sad music of humanity, nor harsh, nor grating, though of ample power to chasten and subdue. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is in the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man. So thank you, Wordsworth. He saw a lot of really what we might call spirituality in nature, which can be very nurturing, just spending time with nature and connecting on that deep level. So we're going to move on now to a book that is in the library that is called Lost Words, The Lost Words. And Robert Macfarlane is the poet, and there's lots of beautiful illustrations in this book as well. So another thing you can do to relax and to nurture yourself is obviously to look at books. And I would really encourage you to look at things that are beautiful as well. All these children's books and poetry books that have got illustrations and photography, all really gorgeous. So this particular poem is called Bramble. And you will probably be able to see the structure of it is using the word bramble to begin each line of the poem. And this is actually a technique called an acrostic. I shall read it to you. Bramble is on the march again, rolling and arching along the hedges, into parks on the city edges. All streets are suddenly thick with briar. Cars snarled fast, business over. Moths have come in their millions, drawn to the thorns. The air flutters. Bramble has reached each house now, looped it in wire. People lock doors, close shutters. Little shoots steal through keyholes to leave in quiet halls, empty stairwells, bowls of bright blackberries where the light falls. So a bit of magic there. The brambles we've lost most of the blackberries now, but the brambles are still trailing around. So we'll have a look at another poem from this book. And this one is about the magpie. Again, I'm using the word magpie. Magpies, you're probably aware, can be quite noisy and have a lot to say for themselves. So this poem is about that. Magpie manifesto. Argue every toss. Gossip, bicker, yak and snicker all day long. Pick a fight in an empty room. Interrupt, interject, intercept, intervene. Every magpie for every magpie against every other walking, flying, swimming, creeping creature on the earth. So that's the magpie for you. Some of these birds and animals, they can just make a right old racket. And that's one of them. So what we're going to do now is maybe get an inspiration from this, and I would invite you again to maybe have a little go at writing. So what we'll do is try and have a go at acrostics. So if you would like to have a go at this and get your pen and paper, again, you can pause the film while you do it and think of a topic. So it might be your own name, it might be the name of somebody you know and love. It might be a plant or a bird or an animal or a place. And just write that word down the side of your piece of paper. So we'll just have a look at the next slide to give you an example. Yeah. So as it says here, the poem uses the letters of the topic to start each line. So we've got a little one here, sun. Shines brightly up in the sky, nice and warm on my skin. So if you want to just have a play at that, just pause the film for a few minutes. I'm going to show you one that I've done as well when we finished, and just enjoy it and have a play. It's quite different to the free writing because you've got this structure, but you can be quite playful with it, and it can just be a list of words sometimes. So if you just want to pause the video for as long as you need to do that, and then we'll come back. Okay. So I'm going to imagine you've had a little go at an acrostic, which I hope you've enjoyed. It's quite a playful thing to do. I'm just going to read you one that I wrote a little while ago, and I decided the thing that was on my mind that day was my back. I've got a bad back sometimes. So this is called The Strength in My Back. And I was looking at the sky as well, so I can't really show it to you, but I'll read it to you. The strength in my back. The bluest sky hangs over my head every day. Seeing it now, the many days reaching forwards and back, every day. Nothing is new. The bulbs pop up again, high above the crows, clattering, chattering. I am alive, and now my back is strong. Youth and age gathered up in my arms. I bend backwards to look up, arch myself to see the day blue sky and the stars. Count them all. Know my luck. So I hope you enjoyed your acrostic, and these are nice things to do with your children as well. Children can find them good fun, playing with their own names, writing ones for mother or father or any other friends and loved ones in the family. So if you feel like playing around with doing an acrostic or finding a place in nature or a natural feature like the sky or the sun or a particular tree, then do have a play with that, the acrostic. Okay, so let's move on to our next poem. So here we have a beautiful oak tree. We are back in our walking in nature. There's a lot of oak trees in our landscapes in this country, and at the moment they're changing colour and they're dropping their leaves. As you can see, this is the traditional oak tree with its crinkly leaf. And this is a poem by Lord Tennyson. It's called The Oak. Live thy life, young and old, like yon oak, bright in spring, living gold. Summer rich then, and then autumn changed, soberer hued, gold again. All his leaves fallen at length, look, he stands, trunk and bough, naked strength. So that's the oak through all the seasons. And I'm sure a lot of us have got like maybe it's an oak tree or another tree, a beech tree or a silver birch that you've been noticing, you know, all your life or for years and years, and they can be a very magical sort of reassuring presence going through their seasonal changes, but always there. So that's the oak. So let's move to our next piece, and this is one of mine. So this is just a very short little piece called The Quiet Space. I am the quiet space. I am always here. In the busyness of normal life, I am the silence you cannot hear, the peace your activity masks. I wait for you, your attention. I know you. I know you resist, but I am important. You are important. This is important. So just give you a little time to pause. Now this is an old favourite of mine. Now I'm going to introduce you to an old friend of mine. This is my old dog Zita. She's gone now, unfortunately. She died a few years ago, but here she is in the hillsides near where I live, where we walked together many, many, many times. And I think she trained me to go out in nature, go out in all weathers, as our dogs often do. So I can't break the habit now, even though I don't have her to walk. So this poem is a bit of a tribute to her and to all our animal companions. I'm sure lots of you got cats and dogs and other animals who feel like our animal helpers. And this is taking us, as we imagine ourselves on this walk in nature, more towards the evening, towards our close of day. So here we go. Oh, just let me find my place. Great, yes, so I want to move on to the next image. The last of day snatches away as night falls on the familiar hill. Memories of other dusks with the old dog, late walks, former adventures come too. Paths, streams, stones unfold as they ever did, marking the same way. As I round the bend where once she sat, many times ran, the hill opens once more to the sky, and there in the gully, in the space of last light between hill and hill, another face appears. Horse, her quiet head in twilight silhouette. She sees me. We look at each other. Then another, this one smaller, pointed ears, revealing herself as fox as she turns tail. Her bushy tail turning into the dark of the hill. And they're gone. So there's something magical sometimes in our relationships with the animals. So this is nearly the last poem. This is a poem that was inspired by another poem by another writer, a poem by Mary Oliver. Some of you will know her perhaps. She writes some beautiful poems, particularly about nature, quite reflective. So this poem is by me, and it's just called Response to Wild Geese, which is Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese. I want to sit and notice the sun, the clear pebbles of rain, the mist in the valley making the sunrise magical. Notice the wild geese, all the magpies, the jays dancing over the sky, cawing. Notice the hills, the brown bracken, the leaf-dropping trees changing every day, revealing a nest of crows who sit tight in the branches as I see them, take the path underneath them, and see them again from the other side. My place is here in this land, where my boots fall every day, where the dog's ashes lie, where my dust will settle yet. So that's a beautiful big beech tree near where I live. It's looking a bit like that now, perhaps a little bit barer than that even. So I'm going to move on to the last piece I'm going to share with you. This is the end of the walk, that end of the everyday walk that I do. Every day as I walk in these hills, my stories come with me, rattling in my pocket, in my head as I walk the footpaths. I'd like to put them down, plant them under the rocks, tuck them under the roots of the trees, near the footpath where they can still hear the stories of the people walking past, but not underfoot, composting down with the tails and the bones of the ancestors, and the leaves of the trees, the broken branches, and time rendering all silent, transforming all into quiet, new ground. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed that walk. We'll make our way back to the library now to meet up with Leah and Hannah. So I just wanted to share with you, I'm a great lover of the library, as well as a writer and a poet and a walker. And I would encourage you to use what you've got at the library. There's all sorts of things. So I've found some amazing poetry books in the library that are really inspiring and comforting. And also books like this. This is a bit of a sort of book about forest bathing. So it's all about the wonders of being in nature and how good it is for sort of sleep and well-being and tranquility. There's all sorts of books like this, and things like this, they've got lovely images in as well as words and ideas. So there's lots of beautiful things to look at in the library. There's also sometimes things like this, beautiful stories to help you go to sleep. And I know quite a lot of people, grown-ups, who during lockdown have been reading children's books, children's poetry books, beautiful illustrations. Sometimes the children's books are the best ones in the library. So all sorts of things. And at the end of our autumn walk, you might want a good night's sleep. This is an issue at the moment, to get good rest. And there's all sorts of books at the library, and this is all part of the Reading Well collection, which Lee and Nate can tell us more about as well, what you've got at Kirklees.
Yeah, thanks for that, Emma, and thank you for such a wonderful creative journey through nature. It's been an absolutely beautiful walk, and a lovely autumn day, pretty much like today, I think. So yeah, coming back to what you were saying about the books that you can find in your local library. I'm in my local library today, and I have managed to just pick up some lovely books that would help with self-care just in this library alone. So yeah, we've got some books like this. So this is all about mindfulness. They called it soulfulness, but it's all about going on a mindful journey. We've got some lovely exercise books as well. We are going to be talking a bit more about yoga during self-care week next week, myself and Hannah. So you can always pick up some fantastic books about exercising at home. And we do have a lovely collection on Overdrive as well. And then eating well and eating a balanced diet. Obviously, everybody knows that's quite important for your own self-care. So you'll always find lots of books around cooking and just eating healthier. And I think what you were saying as well, Emma, about children's books and the fact that adults quite often read children's books because they can be quite uplifting. And I found this one just today in the library called Look Up at the Stars. It's absolutely beautiful as well because it takes in all the elements. Yeah, they go for a walk in the forest. They're looking at the stars as they go, and they're walking through the snow. So that's a really lovely one to read.
Yeah.
And as Emma mentioned, we also have the Reading Well collection. So I think Hannah's got a link to the website as well to share. So the collections centre around mental health, children, young people, long-term conditions and dementia. These books are available within our libraries, and you'll also find many of them as ebooks on Libby Overdrive as well. So this is the Reading Well website here, where you can find out all about the different books. It's got the complete book lists, and like I say, they are available in our libraries. You'll also find them, like I say, on Libby Overdrive, which is our online ebook service. And yeah, I mean, they're fantastic books. I'd recommend them. They're well worth having a look at. Some of the pictures to share that we use with our dementia groups there. There's fiction, non-fiction. There's something for everybody in the collection, really. So, yeah, I'm just scrolling through them there. It's a great long collection. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up the Reading Well collection. And I think that kind of brings us to the end of our session as well. So I'd just like to say thank you very much, Emma, for such a wonderful workshop. And I hope everybody else has enjoyed it as much as I have, and I think Hannah has as well.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you, Emma.
You're very welcome. And you know, I do other workshops as well online, and you can see some of those films that I shared with you on my website as well if you want to watch them again and just enjoy them. They're just there to watch. Yeah, so there's Emma's details at the bottom there. Okay, so thank you very much, and we hope that you all take care of yourself and you enjoy the different activities that we're going to be putting on next week for Self-Care Week.
We have our yoga videos that we're going to be showing on YouTube as well. So we did some last year. There's the meditation yoga tutorial and the one that we did a chat with my yoga teacher for.
Yeah, so look out for those. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.